I'm going to show you now how to make the inside part of your book. Um, to do that, you're going to need several tools. You'll need a pair of scissors, you'll need a pencil, you'll need this tool, which I'll talk about in just a moment, a ruler, and then I have these two bookmaking templates, which will be in the same location in the classroom. So let us begin with this tool, which I'm going to show you up close. So this tool is called a burnishing tool. It's like a little steel ball that's connected to a steel point. This wooden one has a larger one and a smaller one. You want to be sure that you use the larger side. You will need a regular size sheet of paper. That's what we're going to work with. And to begin with, we're going to use this first bookmaking template. I'm going to make all of my marks with a Sharpie so that you can see them nice and clearly on my paper. I would encourage you to make your marks with a pencil. One thing I did not mention that you'll need is this a cutting mat, so that when you make your creases, the cutting mat will be very helpful in doing that. So I'm going to use this bookmaking template, and you'll notice on one end here it says line up with the end of the paper. So that arrow shows you where to line it up. You can see I'm lining it up right now. It's important that that arrow point right to the end of the paper. Once I've made that line up, I'm now going to mark these lines on my paper. This last line, you might wonder why we would mark that. That's going to be a little bit of paper that you'll probably need to cut off. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. So I move it across the piece of paper, and now I'm lining up that arrow again. It's important that you make these marks on both sides. So I'm making my marks, making this last mark. I'm going to set the template aside. You should only use the template for making marks, not for a straight edge. Now I'm going to use my ruler. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that line that's on the end. Again, I'm using a Sharpie. If you're doing this, I would encourage you to use a pencil. That mark that I've just made, I'm going to cut off. If you don't do this step, when you make the insides of your book, you might find that your pages don't fit as neatly as you might want them to. So I'm cutting that little strip of paper off. It doesn't seem like much, but that much will make a difference when you make the inside of your book. So now I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to use one of those burnishing tools to basically prepare the paper to fold. So I'm lining up these marks, and I'm going to take my burnishing tool and press hard across the paper. It's probably very difficult for you to see there, but there's a crease. You can kind of see it there. There's a crease in the paper that when I go to fold it, it's going to be much easier to fold because of this tool. So I'm going to make the mark again. Pressing pretty hard as I do this. You might notice too, when I line up the ruler, I don't line it up perfectly touching the edge. I give a little space so that this tool will be in line with my marks. So again, I've got now 3 creases. You can kind of see them there. They're reflecting the light. I'm going to bring over now my other bookmaking template. This is the longer one. This goes with the longer side. You can see again, I've got this arrow that says line up the end of the paper. I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to make 3 marks. You should use a pencil. I'm using a Sharpie so you can see it clearly. So I've made those marks. I'm going to extend this over to the other side, line up my arrow again, and then make these marks. I'm going to set my bookmaking template aside. I'm going to grab my burnishing tool again and my ruler, and I'm going to make 3 more crease lines. I'm now going to mark the paper where you're going to cut it. So the lines that I'm getting ready to draw are lines for cutting. Again, you can't really see it on the paper, but now I have crisscross of like basically predetermined places to fold the paper. And where these two lines crisscross, so I'm showing you these two crease lines crisscross here, I'm going to draw from this top edge to where those lines crisscross. And again, the line that I'm drawing right now, this line is for cutting. So this is showing me where to cut the paper. I'm going to start on this edge now, and I'm going to go to where these lines crisscross. So they crisscross here. And I'm going to draw this time from the bottom of the page up to that top line, right along that crease line. And now I'm going to do the same thing that I did on this side over here. So here's where the lines crisscross, and here's how my line will be drawn. When you do this, again, you want to do this using pencil. What I want to show you now is how this is one continuous line of paper. If you draw the lines all from the same side, you're going to end up, your pages aren't going to work out the way that you want them to. So going to cut along each of these creases until you get to that crisscross line. I'm just going to show you on one. So I'm going to cut. Basically, the line that you've drawn shows you exactly what to cut. You don't want to cut beyond that line. In fact, when I get to the crisscross, I want to stop right in the center of it. You should end up with a Well, we'll end up with a piece of paper that looks like this. And now I'm going to show you how to begin to fold. So you can see I've started to do some folding here. It doesn't matter which side you begin from. What's important is that every crease mark that you have, I've got one here, I'm going to fold the paper both directions. So I folded it one way, and now I'm folding it the other way. Got another crease mark here. If you're worried that you won't be able to see them, when you, if you were here with me, you would very easily be able to see all of the crease marks. So I'm folding it. Again, it's very important that you fold the paper in both directions because that's going to help you assemble your insides of your book. So after you've folded, I'm not going to fold all of them there for you because that would take a while. You should end up with something that looks like this. Again, you can see that because we cut in the way that we did, we've got one continuous piece of paper that when we fold up our book is going to assemble our book nicely. So I'm going to start from this upper corner. I'm going to fold the paper so that it is touching the piece that is right next to it. Here's where that might become confusing. So this side here should touch the piece of paper that's directly next to it. If I fold it this way, that's the wrong way to fold it. The paper that is touching this paper is not the paper that's right next to it. So that seems complicated. If you are having difficulty folding your paper or want to be sure that you're correct, just bring it to me and I will let you know, or I'll help you. So we're just folding it all up. It's important to kind of reinforce these creases. And that should have the assembled inside of your book. Thanks for watching.